Hi everyone, this is Catalin, and in today's episode we have Patrick Bet-David. Patrick is the CEO and founder of PHP Agency, an insurance financial services company, and he's also the creator of Valuetainment, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, entrepreneurship business and leadership channel on YouTube. He's basically spearheading and spreading the message of capitalism, entrepreneurship, and basically the message of freedom. I really love this guy, and I really love Patrick, appreciate his time. And in today's episode, we talk about his book and the things from his book, which is Your Next 5 Moves, Master the Art of Business Strategy. This is a book that I think everyone can benefit from, and they can start at the level that they're at. So the 5 moves that Patrick goes through is knowing yourself, master the ability to reason, building the right team, strategy to scale, and mastering power plays. So at whatever level you are in your business life at the moment, you can start at that move that makes most sense to you. So you can start at, like, let's say you know yourself, you can start at building the right team or scaling and raising capital and whatever the step might be. So I recommend the book. We're going to have a link in the description for it. And in today's interview, we talk about problems that Patrick is currently experiencing and how he's solving those. We talk about integrity. We talk about ability to trust people and ability to hold people to a standard. We talk about leadership and how you can balance the performance mindset with deeply caring about others. So I think it's a very interesting interview, and I hope you really much enjoy it. If you do, please share it with others and make sure you get the message to people that need it if you think this would be of use to them. Thank you so much. Enjoy the interview and talk soon. Bye. Hi everyone. Patrick, thank you so much for taking the time and have a conversation. Really much looking forward to our time today.
Good to be on with you.
So, Patrick, obviously there's a lot of things going on right now, and we're going to talk about your book briefly, but something that struck me in your book was the emphasis on problem-solving processes and having ways to actually deal with things in a structured manner. So I would love, from all the things that are going through your head right now, what would you say? Like, what are the top things, the top issues, the top problems that you're right now identifying either in your business or you're seeing in the world? Because there's obviously so much going on. Like the elections are going crazy, and like all this stuff is happening. So what would you say would be one of those issues that we could talk about and actually see your thought process on it? Could be a problem in your business, or could be a problem that you're seeing in the world right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking politics, it's what does a business look the next 4 years under Biden? What does business look under Trump? And right now, Biden is president-elect, and as Giuliani and his guys are making Sidney Powell are making their case, it looks like it may end up being a Biden administration. So what is that going to look like for your business based on regulations, based on new laws, based on minimum wage, based on, censorship, based on all of that? You got to be thinking about that with all your moves and how you're going to pivot. Number two, what I'm dealing with right now is we just launched a $3.5 million software that we invested in the last year and a half. And that's now going to be what is the next phase of investment we make on what we would like to upgrade the software to. And we have 50 different upgrades ranging from a $20,000 update to a $750,000 update. What do we need to do now that we need versus a year from now, 6 months from now, 24 months from now? My kids possibly buying a different house, moving. So I got a lot of different things in my mind that's going about my next 5, 10, 15 moves.
Yeah. So are you at the level of 15 moves though? Because when I was reading your book, like I was, because 15 moves sounds like pretty, like there's so many computations and so much math you need to do in your head. It almost seems like it's not worth doing. So like in your life right now, how far are you taking it with that?
We go to 15 moves quite often. Even right now, we just had lunch with a couple of my C-suite executives, and the lunch was about a matter that they're dealing with. And we sat there right before coming here. I went over there because I wrote a stack of notes on what to do. And the main thing we came up with is what's move number one. First, we have to do this. Then we have to do this. We came all the way down to like a move 30, move 35 on what we're doing with the specific issue that we're having. And he's going out there right now to type it out. And we do this quite often. If you sit with a group of 2, 3, 4, 5, I mean, you can even say something like this. Do you have any kids yourself or no? Are you married?
I'm not. I'm not.
Would you like to be married one day?
I actually talked about that right before I got into the conversation. That's kind of funny you asked that. Go ahead.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Yes, I do, and I just talked about getting married with her before I started this. What's
Yeah, so
going
there
on?
you go. How random this is. I got cameras all over your room, by the way, and you don't know about it.
Yeah, there you
But,
go.
but even with that, for me, when I was 24 years old, I was dating a girl, and I asked myself the tough question, saying, if your daughter came home and showed a guy like you, the 24-year-old you to you, would you be comfortable with your daughter marrying the 24-year-old version of PBD? I said, hell no. So for me, what are my next moves to be ready to be a husband or a father? And I have to sit there and think about it. The first thing is, what kind of a woman do I even want to be married to? Number two is, what kind of a woman cannot be with somebody like this, and who can I not be with? What are some things that absolutely irk me that I have non-negotiables with, that there's no way in the world I can be with them? Number three is going through the process of, who do I need to be to attract the person that I want to attract in my life? Maybe I need to elevate myself. And then I just went through the whole list, and you're like, okay, then if that's the case. And then once I got clear on what kind of a woman I was looking for, after reading a book called 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged, which is a revolutionary book for me. I've bought a few thousand of that book, and I've given it away to people. At that moment, I had 4 girls I was dating, not promiscuous. I'm talking to these girls, and I gave each one of them this book, and I said, I want you to read the book because I'm looking for a wife, and I have my questions answered. And I gave it to them, and they went through it, and we had a meeting for a few hours, and we went through the book. And each of them individually, I said, I know I can't be with you. I know you can't be with me based on some of the things you said. There's no way you can tolerate somebody like me. We're eventually going to have a problem together. And then I finally did it with my current wife, my wife. And we went through a 6-hour process at her house. And 6 hours later, I said, I'm probably going to marry this girl. A year and a half later, we married. On our second date, I bought that book for her. So everything to me is sequencing, everything. And by the way, we were planning for a very big move. And sometimes things are not going to go your way. So yes, this morning, I got some news that my plan that I wanted to execute didn't go my way. There's a complete big surprise. No problem. At that moment, you have to immediately pivot and already execute the other plan you had in case this wasn't to work out. Too often we leave the pivot until it happens versus preparing for that event to happen. You buy life insurance not because you're planning on dying tomorrow. You buy because in case if you die, your family's protected. You buy auto insurance not because you want to get into a car accident in case if you die. So when the investors came in, they gave me $10 million. One of the rounds that I did, they gave me 10 million. They said, but we also want to buy a 10 million auto insurance policy on you. Why is that? Well, we don't mind giving you 10 million, but if you die, that's how we're going to get our 10 million back. I'm like, you know what? Totally makes sense. Here you go. So everything is also, you make your moves and then you're ready that if something doesn't go in its place, it happens in sports all the time. You have a playbook, but you don't know what the other opponent's going to be doing. You also have to be ready for that because sometimes people create a plan and they say, first I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden by move forward, there's a big surprise. Then they're disappointed and said, oh my gosh, just throw this plan away. No, that's the time to come up with your pivot. So it's an interesting game to play, but life is pretty much a game. And those that know their next 5, 10, 15 moves the best end up winning.
Yeah. So the fascinating thing about that was so when I think about for example, people with weather can't predict more than 7 days ahead. They've tried everything, it just doesn't work. Every small difference today just changes everything 7 days from now. So they've stopped really predicting with accuracy 7 days from now. It feels, let me know if I synthesize it properly. It feels to me that I should at least have my next 5 moves ahead, and then up to 15, 30, 50, you go as much as you'd like, but those will be lower resolution, and you have this willingness to change and adapt as the environment changes as fast as possible. So you're not really disappointed like, oh, I just did a plan do not work. So you're not going there. You're always keeping highly flexible, but at the same time having a really high a detailed view on at least the next 5, 7, 8, 10 moves that are ahead of you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that saying Christians use, pray like it's up to God, work like it's up to you, you know? And it's a famous saying you keep hearing about in churches, pray like it's up to God, work like it's up to you. I think sometimes people just kind of say things like, well, it's not like I'm in charge, you know, I'm going to take it a day at a time and we'll see what's going to happen. That's kind of life and you got to be kind of loose. Yeah, I don't know about that either. You know, I think you do need to put a plan together and do your best to execute it. You know, most people are just winging the life, unfortunately, and they're waiting for life to happen to them. That's not how things work. You put a plan together and you have to be ready for audibles. In football, they call it audible. You have a play, you see the defense. Uh-oh, I was planning on going left. These guys are going to sack me the way they're going. They figured out my play. Audible, boom, boom. And then one guy moves, they adjust. You're ready. You go this way. You surprise him. You go for 7 yards and he score a touchdown. Everything is about audibles. But unfortunately, imagine if you go to football and you only have one play. You're like, okay, ready? Oh, shoot. Oh, they're going to get us on this one. I have no other plays. Okay, then let's just do it. Boom, you get sacked. So most people live a life with only one or two plays. You know, you got to have more than one or two plays. Look, the best fighters in the world in UFC don't just have one move. They have 2, 3, 4. You'll notice a jiu-jitsu guy that's a decent boxer, that's got a decent kick, you know, and they know how to use it because they can go from the ground to up to, they know how to move well in different areas. I think sometimes in life, you got to be able to be prepared to make your own moves that you write out. And then you come out and say, if this happens, what do? We do this. If that happens, what do? We do this. If this happens, what do we do? And by the way, just so you know, most people do this. For instance, you go on a blind date and what do you say? I have no idea what's going to happen with this one. But in your mind, what do you say? If I go in and if I really don't like it, what does a girl say? She texts a friend. She says, I'm going to go to the bathroom. She texts a friend. Then she'll come back if she's not into you. And if she says something like, my mom is sick. She just gave me, oh my gosh, something just, I'm so sorry I'm doing this for her. No, that's what she was planning on doing if she's not attracted by you. And guys do it as well. When you go on a double date and your friend's trying to introduce you to a friend and you go on a date, bro, if I'm not into it, I'm out. No, I totally get it. You're going like, dude, my mom just called me. I got to go. So that is a part of your move in case things don't go your way. Same applies to pretty much everything in your life. You just have to ask yourself that. What if this doesn't work out? What are we doing next?
Yeah, absolutely. So another thing that was, so when I'm reading your book, something that I really like is whatever stage I'm in my life, I can go to that move. So maybe I know myself, I can go to next one and next one and next one. So I really like that. So one of the places I feel a lot of people are not stuck, but maybe it's my projection, maybe this is where I'm stuck, is with people. So having the right team. So this is something I think obviously you've gotten right. So, but I see something and I will allow myself to make an observation. Let me know what you think. So I feel you have this tremendous, incredible, like clarity of performance, and like we want results and we want to deliver. At the same time, I rarely have seen such a caring and like wanting to take care of people and really protect them, and like, and I feel like these both, they look like extremes to me. So to you and your teams and kind of how you're building for your companies, how do you manage those so that you don't, because you have the transparency on performance, but at the same time you deeply care about people in an honest way. So how do you balance that in your team building?
Yeah, you know, it's how I like it. It's how I like to be treated. I like to be treated that way. The people, and you know, back in the days when I first started an insurance company, I didn't treat my partners well at all, meaning my carriers. If I was working with a big insurance company, an AIG or Nationwide or somebody else, I wasn't necessarily treating them like a partner. I treated them like they needed me. I didn't treat them like I need them just as much. You know what ended up happening? I lost a lot of partnerships. I was a 30-year-old CEO in the insurance industry, having no clue what to do. And I was going around thinking, you know, everyone needs me and I don't need them. Then all of a sudden, one day I sat down and I said, Pat, we got to grow up. You are not a good CEO. Matter of fact, you're a pretty terrible CEO and you got to figure out how to get better. So I made a list and I said, who are your most important customers? And I made a list. Who are my most important customers? Number one was those who have signed a lease that they run an office space. Then it was my agents. Then it was my clients. Then it was my partners. then it was my executives, then it was my partners, then it was the media, then it was my vendors. So then I came back and I said, I got to treat these partners better. So typically in the insurance industry, they spoil me. So I'll go to a place, oh, we're going to put you in this place in Argentina, Buenos Aires, and we're going to give you an incredible time and dinner, $1,000 bottle of wine on us. And we're going to send you to the spa, or we're going to send you over here. And they constantly spoil you. I said, you know what? I want to spoil them. So we flipped it on them. And we did something they've never experienced before. I started having a meeting every year in December, and I brought them out and I put them in the best place, and we took them out to the nicest restaurant, and we got them drinks, wine, whatever they wanted, nice bone-in ribeye, Kobe, whatever they wanted. And we said, we appreciate your partnership. We are glad to have a great partnership together. And then from there, we would sit there and we would have a full-on meeting one day, and I would do PowerPoint talking about our good, bad, ugly. And here's what it sounded like. Look, let me tell you what 2019 was like. Let me tell you what 2018 was like. Here's the ugly. Here's what happened. We lost $6 million in this one area. We lost one of our executives that we desperately needed. We lost the carrier that we desperately needed. This is the bad, and this is the good. And then we show the good. Here's what happened. And then we say, these are the areas we need your help in. These are the areas that we'd like to see if you can assist us in. And then what can we help you in? And then I would literally sit down, and there's 40 of them around me, okay, in almost a U shape in this nice room that's a club, $1,500 a month that President Bush is a part of, and would sit there, and I would say, process it together. And then we'd go back and forth talking, and we had nice gifts for them. We treated them really well. But I tell you, the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I had to learn that you have to prioritize the most important people in your life. You have to prioritize the most important people in your business. And you have to treat them accordingly. This doesn't mean don't respect everybody, but you have to do above and beyond for those who are going above and beyond for you. Once we started looking at it that way, people wanted to do more for us. People wanted to go above and beyond. People wanted to take additional measures that others weren't willing to take. And it took me some time to learn that, because sometimes when you're military, you're hard work, all you're doing is you're just going. Kind of have to step back and say, you are dealing with people, you are dealing with egos, you are dealing with things. Yes, there's high expectation. Yes, there's high demand. Yes, there's responsibility. But these are people with with emotions and feelings, and you got to be able to know how to deal with them, because sometimes they're fickle. Now, don't get me wrong. I just had a call right now that if you would have listened to me, it would have scared the hell out of you, because it was not the nicest call. I was not the nicest I was on this last call. And the reason why I was not the nicest on this last call is because they lied to us. And it was the 5th time they lied to us. And it's somebody that I've spent a lot of money on, and they lied to me for the 5th time. And it was a very uncomfortable call, because they made my executive's life difficult. And that conversation happens maybe once a year, maybe once every 6 months, where I have something like that happens with somebody, because it's almost like this. I remember I had this man I really looked up to who raised great kids. I said, how do you raise your kids? He says, don't lose your cool too often, but every once in a while, remind your kids what's possible. Your kids every once in a while have to know daddy can go there, and I don't want him to go there. So he says, you don't need to do that too many times, but if a couple of times people know what you're capable of, then they kind of respect it and know what your limits are that you're not willing to go to. Sometimes some people need to understand when you tell me what you're going to do, and I tell you, like, let's just say you want to negotiate. You tell me for $2 million, I'll do this for you. We go 3 months, you sign all the contracts, you give me your award, you don't hit it, we're going to have a problem together. So, but that also has to be a certain expectation you have. But for the most part, dealing with people, you have to respect people, because you're going to need them long term, especially if your vision is a big vision. You need to treat your partners very well.
Yeah, there might be a very good reason why that conversation happened right before this interview, maybe. But what would you say? Because I do sense that in you, like there's this 100% integrity at all times commitment that I sense in you, like as a leader, like what you say is what you do. And if that's not the case, then the trust gets broken and nothing happens. Why do you think trust and that integrity is that important to you? Because it's not important to everybody, obviously. To the people on the other side of the conversation was not that important.
Yeah. No, I think it's important to them as well. I just think they can get away with it because 3 other partners were okay with it and forgiving, and I'm not. So for example, say you're dating a girl and you and this girl are together, and one of the girls you're dating, you've been with her 6 months, she catches you with underwear, panties in your room, apartment, and she's like, whose panties? These are not mine. Oh, I'm so sorry. You got another girl over here? Babe, I thought you loved me. What's this all about? Can you please stop? I love you so much. In the back of your mind, you're like, oh, she's okay if I have another girl on the side. Interesting. Okay, so guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna have another girl on the side. You go date another girl, and now you're with this other girl, and she comes in and she sees you getting drunk, and you said some really terrible things to her in front of other people, but she doesn't leave you. Well, guess what? In your mind, she's okay with that. She's okay with you doing that. And she's still willing to be with you. You're going to abuse that authority again. Now you date a girl that's been raised with the right kind of character. And you love her. You're crazy about her. And you, in your place, have panties that she catches. And that is the last time you'll ever be with her. But then you realize the next time you're with a girl that you love, don't screw around, because you may lose the girl of your dreams. Now that stays in your mind. The same happens to men and women, right? And business is the same way. Sometimes businesses do businesses with others, and they notice one business like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it, I understand. Oh, it's okay. And they're like, oh, everybody's like that. Not everybody's like that. Okay. But sometimes in life, you come across a customer that will give you referrals for life. Let me explain to you what I mean by referrals for life. What do you do for a living, by the way? What business are you? Like, how do you make your money?
Technology marketing, yeah.
Okay, sales, is it a part of sales?
I mostly do sales for my company, yes.
Okay. Have you ever had a customer that you sold to that gave you the most referrals, where you made a lot of money off the referrals?
Yes,
Yes?
my first customer.
Okay, so think about it that way. Customers like that are not everywhere. When you find a customer like that, you better take care of them, right? I mean, they could change your life if you do them right. Okay, I'm that customer, because if you take care of me, I'm going to tell the world how amazing you are, and I can potentially bring you 20, 30, 40 million dollars. So if you don't meet that guideline, we have a problem. So you asked the question about trust. My number one currency that I look for is speed. I want speed. I want to grow fast, but I don't want to compromise efficiency. You know what increases speed? High trust. The higher the level of trust, the higher the level of speed. So if I can increase that trust with my team, with my partners, with my investors, everybody grows faster, everybody makes more money.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned that, because even at a biological level, the organisms that is not the most developed or the smartest or whatever, is the ones that adapt with the highest velocity or speed to the environment. And trust, well, it's one of those behaviors that we have developed to basically improve that speed. So what you're saying, it's even biologically accurate. Well, obviously it is, because we're all saying the same thing in different ways. So last thing before I let you go, Patrick. So like I told you, we're going to talk about the book in the intro and all of that, and people will be able to get it and have the links and everything. One thing I found, again, intriguing and unique about you is your interest with the military, with the mob, basically what I call high risk or high cost environments. So I'm assuming a lot of your lessons come from there, because the risk of a mistake there is potentially that of you or other people that you care about. Where in business, as you know, even if you make the work mistake, even if that client that you just fired or that partner you just fired, okay, nobody's gonna die. But if you make that, if you're General Patton and you make that mistake, 20,000 people die, and that's a different thing. Like you better really take care of really think that through. So would you say, what's the reason of your attractiveness to these domains? Is that the reason? Is it a different reason?
I think you said a couple parts of it, but one of the parts as well is handling pressure. To me is I have a pretty big plan on what I want to do in my life, which means I'm going to be sitting down with a lot of powerful people to negotiate with them and do business with them. And if you're too intimidated by them, they will smell it, they will feel it, and there's no way you can hang in rooms like that. And I want to make sure I sit down with the most intimidating people in the world. So if I can handle them, I'm not going to have a hard time sitting down with the rest of you guys. Because in business, the world of business, it's rough. The bigger you get and the more business you take away from your competitors, you're not making a lot of friends. And by the way, it's not even if you do it intentionally. You know, you can be a new kid in town and you go to a new school and there's this one guy that always gets the attention. Now you come in, now you're getting all the girls' attention. That guy doesn't like you. You can be a girl that goes to a new school and you're transferred because your parents moved, and now you're the best looking girl in school, or you're the best basketball player, or the best football player. Those kids in that school don't like you because you took the attention away. It's natural. That happens. So if you're going to be building something big, you have to understand the power plays that's going to go with it. And the way you get comfortable with it is by sitting down with a lot of intimidating people and having a very civil conversation with them.
Awesome. So Patrick, what do you want to leave people with? One thing, one lesson where they can, obviously a lot of people can Google you and everything, but one thing you want to leave people with?
I think I want people to know that future looks bright on two different ways of looking at it. Number one, future looks bright to me because anytime there's crisis, and we have a lot of it right now worldwide, a lot of it, whether it's oil, China, Iran, Turkey, Middle East, Armenia, US, election, Brexit, Canada, Mexico, so many different things. We have crisis right now. When there's crisis, new heroes are born. It's that simple. You almost need crisis to have new heroes being born. And I'm just looking forward to reading about the next heroes that are going to be born at this time. The second part is future is going to be bright. You have 4 things you need to do in life. As long as you outwork, you out-improve, you out-strategize, you outlast, eventually you're going to get what you want. One more time. If you outwork, out-improve, out-strategize, outlast, you're eventually going to get pretty much close to everything that you want.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Appreciate your time.
Anytime.